Welcome to In the Blue. I am your host, Dr. Corey Frogley. Always excited to be with you on a Friday. And man, this is a great follow-up from last week's show. As you guys remember, we talked about some of the new technology coming into the marketing space. And now we really wanted to bring a guest to you who is a master in new patient acquisition. And the process that they go through, the buyer's journey from entering your website portal all the way down to how they convert into new patients, convert into appointments, and then especially growth and expansion. So for those of you in our audience who are just mastering these fundamentals and looking to open up the multi-locations, this is great because this is the fuel to your fire. And Ian McNickle, who started off in getting his undergrad, and we'll talk a little bit about this in mechanical engineering, but discovered his talents in business, and he got his MBA and went ahead and co-founded two companies. Wheel Media builds, develops, masters websites in your marketing systems, and then also the DSO project, which is all about consulting and opening up multi-locations. So Ian, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Excited to be here.
So let's just share with us real quick that journey. How do you go from mechanical engineer to master of multiple businesses?
It's been a journey, that's for sure. Yeah, I started out, I had my undergrad in mechanical engineering and worked for about 10 years in the high-tech industry. Enjoyed it. I liked engineering quite a bit, actually. But towards the end of that period, I felt I really have a growing interest in business, so I got an MBA. And I decided, I'm just going to quit my nice, well-paying job in high tech, start a business from scratch with no experience. And looking back, it's like, boy, that was really a dumb thing to do, but it worked.
Nicely done.
Yeah, it was interesting. I started out with my first company was marketing and business consulting, and I did that for several years. Had a really nice run with that company. And then 2009, I partnered up with two other guys, and we started Wheel Media. And so since probably 2011, I would say we've primarily focused on marketing for dentists, although we've done other doctors as well. We've done optometry, we've done vet, derm, chiro. So certainly what I'm going to talk about today is applicable for any and all of those folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's jump into this because the fuel to any growth and expansion is the new patient line. We've got to have that system in place of the new patient acquisition. And as you know, with BlueIQ, we're measuring new patient acquisition cost. We're measuring where those leads are coming from and the lifetime value of the patient from each of those sources. So teach us, what's the secret to lead generation in 2019? We're almost at the end of 2018 here.
Yeah, no, so there are a lot of options for lead generation. I'll kind of bucket it into two primary categories. One would be online marketing and digital, and then direct consumer marketing, more of the traditional. And so with digital, you're primarily working from your website, which is, you're kind of the foundational bedrock. But there are a lot of things, a lot of boxes that check with your online marketing. So having a good website is important, but using videos, having robust online reviews on the major reviews platforms, which, for doctors is really, Google, Facebook, Yelp, and Health Grades. Those are kind of the big four. Having some social media activity going on, and really using SEO and PPC to drive traffic. And there are a lot of nuances and details in each of those topics we can dig into for hours. But at a high level, we want to first start with that digital marketing and getting it optimized. Because sometimes I'll get doctors who come to us and say, hey, I want to really do radio or TV or print and mailers or whatever. And what I always advise them is, that's the first step is to dial in the online marketing. Because what happens is when you send out a mailer or you do a TV campaign or something like that, a lot of those people are going to do what, right?
They're going to Google you.
Go online. And so you have to have the website dialed in. You have to have good solid reviews. Check all those boxes online. And then once you've got that solid, then do your mailers and your radio and your TV. And so at a high level, that's kind of the approach.
That's great advice.
One other quick caveat too with the digital marketing. So for talking specifically about patient growth, there's a lot of buzz around social media. And frankly, I own a marketing agency, and I'm going to tell you it's overrated. Social media absolutely has its place. It absolutely can help with new patient growth. But if I was a doctor and I had limited budget, I would focus on websites, SEO, PPC ads on Google, and reviews. Those are the four most important, impactful things that are going to drive new patient growth. Now, yes, social media is important. Videos are absolutely critical. There are lots of other things to consider, but like if I'm recommending a budget to a practice, for example, in dentistry, we recommend 3 to 5% of annual revenue should be spent on marketing. That's if you want to grow. So on $1 million practice, that's $30,000 to $50,000 a year, which is $2,500 to $4,000 a month. Yeah. So let's say you've got a $3,000 a month budget. To me, social media probably is not more than about $250, $300 out of that, maybe 10% of that budget. 90% of that is going to be really focused on SEO, PPC, reviews, website, all the videos, that type of stuff. If growth is your focus.
Yeah. So. No, that's fantastic, and I love that you're giving specifics on those numbers, because if a practice is going after a very specific type of patient, and this is again what we're big on our show, is identifying your target market, and not just your target market, but your target case. And with BlueIQ, we can start to see what type of patients are bringing in the best case, value. And I like that, because what you're saying then is you can use Google to dial in where those dollars are being spent to really acquire the patients that are bringing in you the best case averages.
Yeah, we're really big on metrics. So sometimes I'll sound more like an engineer than a marketer sometimes. And that's because I'm both. And so our approach to marketing is really data-driven. It's optimization and process-driven. So what we really like to do is measure what works, right? That's how I run my own companies. So both of my companies, I invest in things that I know produce growth. And if they don't, I don't do it. It's just simple, right? So with marketing, we try to use as much tracking ability as we can. So we'll use phone tracking numbers on websites and online properties, special landing page URLs. There's lots of different tricks and techniques to really quantify specifically where leads are coming from. And as you scale, so if you're at 1 or 2 location, 3 locations, and you're thinking, hey, I really want to scale and maybe go the multi-location route, maybe a full DSO if you're in the dental space. I just got back late last night from the East Coast, and I was out there consulting with a DSO client back there. And yesterday I had a 3-hour meeting with their marketing director and their CEO going through their data. And it was interesting. They track a lot of things, a lot more sophisticated than your average kind of single location. Yeah. But there are a lot of things that they're still not doing properly.
Still missing.
There's a lot to marketing. And I'll give you like a quick example, one tip I gave them. So they have a call center, which as you scale, at some point, call centers certainly can make sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
And so their call center was having, I would say, a below average conversion rate, converting calls into appointments. And so, and what they said, and I said, well, why do you think that is? And they said, well, they're calling and they're kind of like, who is this on the phone? And why are you calling me? And even though they would identify as being from the dental practice, they still were having kind of a frosty reception a lot of times. And I said, well, hey, make a simple tweak in your approach. Try this. I said, when your call center person calls, say, hi, this is, Betsy. I'm calling on behalf of your hygienist, Sally. I'm calling on behalf of the Dr. Johnson, right? So you're calling on behalf of the person that they know, the person that they have the relationship with. That simple tweak will improve your call center performance right there. Or if it's a one location practice, whether you're a chiropractor, a dentist, whatever, that type of approach where you're saying, hey, I'm calling on behalf of the clinician, whoever that is, the hygienist, the chiropractor, the dentist, whoever, that helps, improve your conversion rate. So little things like that make a big difference.
That's a fantastic tip. And that leads us right into that, converting appointments. So we're now generating leads. How, you build on that. How do we convert those into solid appointments?
Absolutely. So when I lecture a lot at conferences on these topics, and I'm actually writing a book right now, Mastering Practice Growth. It'll be out next summer. And what I'm doing is I'm really defining there are 3 stages for new patient generation, whether you're, again, a dentist, a dermatologist, a chiropractor, it's similar. So step 1 is generate the lead. We just kind of briefly talked about that. Step 2 is now you've got the lead. You need to convert that into an appointment, right? Get them to come into the practice. And then step 3 would be case acceptance, right? Getting them to actually accept treatment. And so each one of those steps has its own separate set of things that you need to do to improve that conversion rate. So I look at it in terms of there are 3 different steps in the process. Each one of them has an opportunity to be a disaster. And so we want to make sure that, because you could be doing, frankly, you could be doing great on getting leads, and your call people could be doing a good job bringing in the practice. But if your case acceptance is really poor, then the marketing return on investment is still poor. So really, to get a good return on your investment for marketing, all three of those steps need to be optimized. Yeah. And so to answer your question for step 2, so we've got the lead now. What do we do with it once they come in? There's a couple steps to that. We want to make sure that we're, number one, answering the phone. So when people call, answer the phone. If you are on lunch or if you're not after hours, consider using a service, something like that. There are other tools like 24/7 live chat on your website. There are tools out there to convert leads after hours. So you should consider those. So you want to convert those, answer the phone and all that kind of thing. And then once people are actually in the practice and they're sitting down for their appointment, then it's more about case acceptance. And so I'll give you a quick example too on one of the big mistakes I see a lot of practices make. So like with our clients, we do dental marketing. We do marketing for around 700 dental practices across the country. We've got 45 staff in Portland, Oregon. And so we're really, really experienced in doing this. And I recently had one of my engineers pull a bunch of data for me, and I'm analyzing over 100,000 calls from our client websites and so forth. And last time I did this analysis, I'm really curious. I wish I would have had time to finish up before this podcast, but I'll tell you the results from last time I did this. It was about 30% of all phone calls went to voicemail. Now, these are for practices that are paying money for marketing. This is not just your average, hey, I've just got a website and I don't really care about marketing. These are practices that are paying us thousands of dollars a month to do marketing, and 30% of their calls are going to voicemail. Yeah. I'll give you one even extreme example. We had one client in Arizona was paying us $13,000 a month. This is a specialty in the dental space, and a couple locations, but that's a big budget. Even for a couple locations, that's a solid budget. Yeah. And 13 grand a month, 70% of the calls are going to voicemail. And I just was like, and when I saw that, I called the doctors immediately and I said, guys, we've got two options here. One option is, which I recommend, let's decrease your budget from 13 maybe down to 10,000 a month. Take that $3 grand and hire somebody to answer the phone full time, or take that $3 grand and hire a call center, outsource it, something like that. But just conversion, guys, holy cow.
Well, and I'm gonna plug a little BlueID right here, because with BlueID, if it would pop up, they just quickly look at the screen. If it's an unrecognized number, or if it's the number from Google that you have them funneling through, we can tag that, so they know it's a new patient call coming in, and they make sure it's handled. But I agree with you. That's a huge hole.
Yeah, and so, ultimately, we just ended up, the option 2 was just decrease your budget to a call volume you can handle, and that's what they did. And so they're still at $4,000 a month, and they have been for years, which is still a healthy budget, but at least their ROI is good now.
I was going to say, how impressive is that your service is overwhelmed rather than underwhelmed, because that's speaking highly for you guys.
It certainly doesn't happen all the time, but in this case it did, and that because they had a big budget. But that's a critical step, is once you get to the point where you've got the phone ringing, answer the phone, right? That's just huge. And so, and of course, once you're answering the phone, there are lots of consultants out there who can train on techniques to convert those calls into appointments. And so we have consultants that we recommend and work with. I'm sure there are lots and lots of them out there, but that's a big piece. And then of course, case acceptance in the practice. And so at WeO Media, we really focus on the first 2 steps. We focus on getting the phone to ring, generating the leads, and we do that through primarily digital marketing, but we also can do radio and print and TV and mailers. We do all of it. We're a full service agency. But and now we also have tools and techniques to help with the second step, which is converting those calls into appointments. We're not a consultancy, so we don't help with step 3, which is the case acceptance. But there are lots of great consultants out there that can help with that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's fantastic. So now that you're converting those leads, let's jump into growth and expansion techniques.
Yeah, definitely. So what happens with a lot of clients is, they're starting to have some success, and 2 locations, 3 locations. And so obviously in the dental space in particular, which is my expertise, DSOs are becoming a much bigger, and have been for the last 10 years. It's a steadily growing part of the industry. Different estimates, depending on which reports you read, 18, maybe 20%, something in that range of the market are now dental group practices, DSO, however you want to call it. And everybody expects that number to continue to climb. Nobody really knows what that final resting place is going to be. Where is equilibrium? Don't know. I'm sure we're still years and years from it. But there's a lot of people who are realizing that, I can really scale up my business. And there are a lot more dentists, frankly, who are starting to think more like business people, in addition to being a healthcare provider and as a clinician. So, and they're saying, wow, I could actually, have a bigger impact on my community and frankly, make more money if I scaled from, 2 or 3 locations up to 7 or 10 or 20. And so what we're doing with the DSO project, my other company, is we help groups kind of formulate the group. We help them scale. We help them with all aspects of consulting, with operations, with finance, with marketing, with all of it. And then help them with private equity funding if they need, financing to scale. And so a lot of that has to do with, site selection is critical. Funding is critical. There are a lot of, aspects of growth that certainly beyond the scope of our call today. But one of the things that we see that is really helpful is, of course, having a healthy marketing program is part of that. Obviously, they have to, be providing good dentistry, and those things kind of go without saying. Or if you're a chiropractor or another dermatology, same principles apply, right? Do a good job first and foremost. That's your most important thing, is do a good job, and then you can scale from there.
Yeah, at some points we kind of have to assume that they've mastered those pieces of it, but
yes,
sometimes they haven't, unfortunately. But so going back to that process, then we've discussed new patient lead generation. The leads begin to come in.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to work with your team, whether that's training on the scripts, training on answering the phones, the systems for handling the volume, like preparing for the volume that an agency like yours could deliver, so that the team is dialed in. Do you guys do any like group training? You mentioned going out to this DSO and doing some consulting with them. Do you do anything like this where the team's sitting there with you and you're role playing with them on the phones?
We have consultants that we use that would do that kind of thing. So potentially that would be more of a referral. We could refer people to help with that kind of thing.
Okay. Oh, that's okay.
Definitely though. Yeah.
Just looking at maximizing their conversion opportunities, and that's a huge part of it, because once they're converting and you're getting the volume, and then that's the beautiful thing about the data, right? Because you can break the data down into those phases of generation, appointment scheduling, and then actually case acceptance. And by measuring those KPIs, we can quickly see where the hole in the bucket is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's critical. I mean, especially even at a single location, but absolutely as you scale, you need to be using some sort of intelligent data analytics software like yours, because there's really no way to really pull all the information you need and really optimize a growing business. Because as you go from like 3 to 5 to 10 to 20 locations, you're going from something you can kind of keep a hold on yourself and kind of manage yourself, to this is a full-blown business that's significantly outgrown the initial owners. And so you need to start putting management in place and systems in place, and a data intel software like yours is absolutely required. We require, actually, when we consult on DSO project, we require them to have some sort of software in place.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. So just as we kind of wrap up the show here, as you travel and you're speaking, where are you next? Where are you going to be speaking next?
Let's see, I just lectured at the ADA out in Hawaii, which was nice.
Oh yeah, that's not a bad trip.
Not a bad one. No, I think I've got a couple of lectures coming up in Seattle, Washington AGD, and a bunch of other meetings. I got some study clubs this fall out in New York, I think in December, for some lectures out there. So I'm on the road most every week. I'm either at a conference or lecturing or consulting. It's a lot going on, but it's fun. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, based out of Portland, obviously can access, do anything from anywhere with the digital world.
Yes.
You guys have an amazing offer for our audience today. Share that with us about how they can actually get a free website review and some online marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So our approach to marketing is really, it's like I said, it's data driven, it's consultative. And so we have consultants, 6 consultants located across the country. And so what they do is, when people have questions about their marketing or they're considering using Wheel Media, what we do is we do a full-blown analysis of their website. We're looking at, as structured, is it mobile responsive, is the code optimized for SEO? We're looking at their Google rankings, we're looking at their online reputation, their social media. And so we're doing a full-blown analysis, and it takes some time for our team to put these together. And then they'll deliver that report. And it's not a sales pitch. People wonder, oh, is this just a sales pitch? It's, of course, we'd love to work with you, of course, yes, but
Sure.
it's not a sales pitch, it's an education process. Because what we find is when we educate the doctors about, hey, here's how all this stuff works, and here's the, I mean, frankly, you can do some of this stuff yourself, and we'll teach them how if they want to. But generally what will happen is, you know, the people who want to do it themselves take our advice and do it. But there are a chunk of folks that say, hey, looks like you guys are really knowledgeable. Could you help us? I'm sure, we'd be happy to.
Cool.
So we do this, obviously, yeah, it's a way for us to get to know you and you to get to know us. But more importantly, we're providing really valuable information. So yeah, if people want to visit our website at weomedia.com or just email info@weomedia.com, we would assign one of our consultants to give you a free consultation and review all that stuff with you. And again, it's not a sales pitch or anything like that. You're going to get some really valuable information from this.
No, that's fantastic, and I highly recommend this to our audience, because take advantage of this. This is an opportunity to really see how well you're established. And I am a huge believer in mastering what makes you the most dollars, and let other people deliver what they have mastered. And this is one of those things where if you're going to expand and if you're going to grow, your new patient pipeline has to be under control. It cannot be a weak piece of the whole process of the systems of your practice. So great offer. We're going to highly recommend it. Remember to let them know that BlueIQ recommended you, and they'll take great care of you over at WEO Media. So
absolutely.
Ian McNickle, thank you so much for being part of our show today. We'll have to have you back when your book comes